There are 4,218 PS2 games, and I'm beating every one of them. I've got to own the game because I'm playing everything on the original hardware, but I've beefed it up with a RetroTink 5X, some component cables, and more to come soon. Can I do this before I die of old age? I hope so. James Bond: Agent Under Fire was developed by EA and released in the US November of 2001. Originally meant to follow the film The World Is Not Enough, delays forced the game into a unique Bond story. Scores were average and below, stating the game was very basic and underwhelming, although sales did fairly well. Can I beat this original Bond story? James Bond: Agent Under Fire is a fun little game, even though it's extremely short, and this one is a special James Bond game with its own unique story. The problem is it's about the length of one of the actual movies, but packed into small cutscenes here and there. While the player controls the out-of-cutscene parts, it just feels too rushed, too quick to be a full James Bond story. I mean, it's fine. It's about world leaders being kidnapped, cloned, and then the clones are going to be manipulated to, of course, take over for these evil people. But James Bond comes to stop it. It's just kind of odd that 2.5 hours is all it took. Now, I did play this game before I didn't understand that you could change the controls, and this is the important part. You need to change the controls, because move and strafe is not on the left analog stick, something that is a normal thing to have. It's move and look, so you need to change it. Otherwise, it is incredibly frustrating and difficult to use, and that's the first time I played the game, was I used this control scheme of almost impossible to aim gunplay, because I'm so used to the left stick being move and the right stick being aim, and when they share those things, when both of them move and aim at the same time, it's almost impossible. So please, if you're going to play this, just make sure to change the controls. Now, the journey is pretty short. Like I said, it's 2.5 hours, so I'll make it quick, mostly because, well, there isn't much to talk about. This is a fine FPS shooter. It's gonna get a C for me, a 7. It's still one that I would recommend to play because it's simple, it's cheap, it's not hard to play through, and if you like James Bond and you like shooting, well, this is the type of game you might find fun. In this first mission here, James Bond is trying to save someone who is a double agent here at this place called Identicon, who has something going on. They have this courier case that's suspicious, and we need to figure out how to save this woman as well as the courier case, because something's going on. So we go through the facility and we learn a little bit about our gadgets. Some of our gadgets are things like a laser that will cut things and a grappling hook that will shoot us up to little places that are very specific and honestly very seldom that we use it. We also have some kind of remote that will remote activate things in the environment, and they'll be pulsing green, so it'll be very obvious. And we also have some kind of decoder. All of these items and gadgets are only used maybe 2 or 3 times at most, and it's very basic. Although the remote is used quite a few times throughout the game, all it does is practically activate a button from far away. So it's the same thing as walking up and pressing the action button on a button. It's just doing it from far away. As you play through the game, you'll notice sometimes a 007 icon will appear at the top left, and the little Bond song will play, letting you know that you've done a 007 moment. If you are playing through the game, you can do something kind of cool, like if James Bond were to choose to do this thing, it would make a moment, a special thing that James Bond does because he's so cool and good at his job. That's something you do to get a James Bond moment, and you get points towards the end of the level. And at the end of the level, you get scored based on what you do. The more moments you get, the more points you get, and the more rewards you get for the next levels upcoming. So finding these moments is pretty cool. It's not necessary, but a lot of the times those moments will actually make the level easier. They will do things like blow something up much quicker than it would have normally done, or kill a bunch of people quickly, or get you to a new area that either has some extra stuff or just through the level faster. So they're helpful to find. We save this woman tied to a submarine, and as we leave, we steal the courier case, and then we also steal another courier case. And as we're driving through the streets, I get to hang out of the car and shoot this big, like AK-47 type weapon with tons and tons of ammo, and anyone you kill drops ammo, and the car will just run right over it and pick it up for you, so you never run out of ammo. Now, I'm playing on just the regular difficulty the game starts on, but man, is it easy. I mean, they shoot me a ton before I'm able to react. Some of these guys are shooting from both directions, so you just gotta shoot them. But man, I just take so much damage. The bottom left, you can see my little health bar. There's 1 pip missing out of all those pips, and I've been shot like 20 or 30 times. The game is very generous with health. After we get the cases, we bring them to R, who is someone who makes gadgets and stuff for us, and he gets our signature car to us. But before we can get in the car, someone pulls up on our vehicle and uses a rocket launcher to assassinate me. Although it does miss, somehow the rocket misses me. I'm not really sure what she was aiming at, but she shot the woman behind me. She shot my car that we were originally in. She didn't even shoot the nice car. She does take the vials though, so we've got to track her ass down. There are a few driving levels in this game, although they aren't very long. This one is very short. The whole idea is that you're catching up to a van with the vials in them. You can't blow the van up because you'll fail if you do, so instead just drive around until you pick up something called a Q pulse. Switch to it and use it. That's it. It takes me a total of about a minute to find a Q pulse, get to the vehicle, and use it, and then the mission's over. Once that Q pulse actually hits the vehicle, it'll disable it and we'll get the vials back. That's it. Next, we head to Reginald Griffin's residence in Romania, or the British diplomat for Romania at least, because he apparently has a vial of his blood in these containers. Now, we haven't figured out yet that they're making clones. That was just kind of my, spoiler. But we go there to see why his blood is in this vial and whatever he is doing here, because apparently he's very obsessed with being here. When we get there, he's dead. We turn the chair around and this guy's gone, he's dead. But we see his clone, and now we're starting to get the picture. There are clones about. This guy is clearly not the... I love his little smirk though. He's clearly not the original guy. And he tries to kill me, and it's very, very bad for him. It doesn't work out because I'm James Bond. In this mission, we don't actually find anything that useful except for information about a place that Reginald worked at before. And it's just interesting to us. We're like, oh hey, Malprave Industries. That's a place that has been mentioned on his computer. Let's go there and see why it was mentioned on his computer. As you can see here, I have a golden gun, and that's because I was able to get a gold medal in the last level, and it gives me a golden gun to use for the rest of the game. Now, you can get these points from the moments and just killing people and not getting hurt and stuff like that, which is great and all, but the golden gun didn't really do that much for me. I think there's some other rewards that are better, but, they're fine. Anyway, we're here pretending to be a reporter or a journalist to talk to this woman at the embassy. And we have to try and figure out what they're doing here because, well, it was mentioned on that dude's computer and he was a clone. We spend some time running around her office photographing some of the blueprints on things she's working on, as well as taking information from this computer. And we find out that there's some people with some inside information and people with code names that we must go check out right now. So we have to leave the facility and then go find these people. Someone at the embassy we were just at has some insider information, and that's why we're here, but it's being attacked by the woman who I think killed the woman at the beginning of the game that was with me, the one who shot the rocket launcher at me as an assassin, drove up in a car and shot a rocket at me. We gotta fight this chopper, which is kind of cool. It's fine, there's some guns all around the place, and that thing doesn't kill you very quickly, so it's just take your time and shoot the chopper when you get a chance. Okay, we're back in a car, and this time we've just got to escape. We can blow people up if we want, but honestly there's no reason to. Just drive as fast as you can to the objective. See, right now we found this data chip that we must bring back to R for analysis, because it's got some information we can really use on it. At the end of this level, the biggest thing you do is just do a special boost over a jump. That's it. It's very simple. These guys don't really put up a fight, they don't really stop you. I'm sure on a harder difficulty it might be a little harder, but it's just boost over a jump and hope you make it. But don't worry, we're not done yet, because you get to ride in a tank, and you don't get to control where the tank goes, just the two guns on top, chain gun and the actual cannon itself. You have to switch between them because there are some sections that require the cannon to blow things up, but the chain gun is very good against practically everything else. So that R chip that was analyzed leads us to this big oil rig, and we have to stop this guy named Block. I think his name is Block. He's actually the owner of Identicon, the guy who we originally saw at the beginning of the game, or the facility we were in to save the double agent who got murdered by a rocket launcher. And now we're here to stop him for sure. There are quite a few fights in this oil rig, and at this point in the game, it's starting to become apparent that The bloom from shooting your weapon is just abhorrent sometimes, man. These old games are already hard enough to aim in on consoles, and they decide it's time to add bloom in, which is this kind of like randomization of where the bullets are going. There's almost no recoil, which sounds a lot better to use, recoil. And instead, they just make the bullets go all over the place. So even if you're aiming straight ahead, you're not necessarily shooting someone. You know, it might be missing. Now, the graphics of the bullets shooting out aren't always accurate. Don't always expect them to be accurate. Instead, look for their, reaction to being shot, because that's when you know you're hitting them. It's kind of weird, and I don't really like that bloom is a thing so big in these old games. It's been in all the FPS games I've played, except for, you had a lot more control over it in Half-Life and a lot of control over it in Deus Ex, because you could stand still and let your crosshairs grow small, and then it would be bloom in that small section, and most of the time you could like guarantee yourself a headshot, and you knew exactly what was going to happen when you did that. In this game, it's just fire and hope that it hits them. We scale the oil rig all the way to the top, where we fight Block very, very briefly, and we fall out of a window and he disappears. We've now got to go further down into the oil rig because, lo and behold, at the bottom of this thing, there's a whole laboratory that is not like showing up. So we just go down there and it's like, all right, time to figure out what's going on in this big old laboratory under the water. We get this really cool on the rail section, again, where you have an AK-47, a lot of ammo, and almost infinite health. These guys are shooting rockets at me, and before this I was going down like a tunnel just kind of shooting guns and dudes on different spots. But this is the actual fun part, where the boss is inside of this like machinery above you, and as you go around killing people, it obviously shows you some red glowy things at the top of the ceiling there, and you must break them to break the whole thing down and send him plunging into the lava, which is totally accurate, by the way, and makes sense when he lands in the lava. But you shoot these things out just to kill him, and that's it. Again, it's very easy to do. Doesn't matter if you're being shot at, who cares? You have so much health. Just shoot the red things out, and it'll break, and he'll fall in and die, in quotes. These last several missions just involve me trying to get to the 8 world leaders that have been captured, because the 9th one already died. That was Reginald earlier. So there's 8 world leaders that have been captured, and the clones are out there somewhere. So we've got to get to them. At this point, we're pretty much just working along with the information we have to get to the place we think the clones and the actual leaders are at. And the rest of it's just like that. It's simple, it's short. We do find that woman from the beginning who got shot by a rocket launcher. Apparently she was actually a clone, but now this is the real version of her, in quotes yet again. I have no clue. The last mission is a little bit longer than most, but again, it's really not that long in general. So once you get the sniper rifles and the guys on top of the tower and open up this door, you go inside to find the world leaders. These big silos containing rockets, there's 4 total, have the world leaders sitting inside of them. I don't understand why they brought them over here, but each one of these silos has a couple of them. So you've got to go in order 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the silos, and then when the door opens, you've saved them. That's it. He's fine. He doesn't need to come with us. He can just stay right here next to this rocket that might be taking off soon. I'm not really sure what they're doing with the rockets here. It's just looks like it's preparing to launch, so I don't know. Maybe the exhaust and the flames from that thing will kill him. Who knows? But we do save all of them. As we try to escape, Block, the guy we thought we plunged in the lava earlier, was also a clone. Dun, dun, dun. If you couldn't have guessed that everyone's a friggin' clone in this game. Maybe even Bond is. I bet Bond is a clone. They've just been changing him. It's like Doctor Who. He just keeps changing every so often. So you take care of this guy. He's pretty easy. He has a rocket launcher, but as long as you just shoot and then move, he will eventually fly up to the top of the ceiling and go through this little duct. He will also knock down this plating at the top of the ceiling that you can jump on to follow him. We follow him into this room and we get a free rocket launcher, and he stands there while we pull it out and shoot him. And that's it. That's the end of the game. It's crazy to think that this game was so short. It took me 2 hours and 36 minutes. That's right, this was all condensed into 2 hours and 36 minutes. It's very short. You can even see in the background too here, just so you know, that woman we were fighting earlier, she does not make it out. She doesn't jump out. She was right behind us. She almost did. Oh, but this one saved us in a jet, so we're fine. Cool, great, all right. So, yeah, this game was just very short. Not a bad game. Still gets a C, it's a 7 from me. It's still a game I'd recommend because it's not bad. It's fine. The story is a little, it feels a little too squished. I mean, a usual Bond movie can be 2 to 2.5 hours, sure. The problem is that you also have a whole game surrounding it. So the story bits are mostly delegated to small spots in the gameplay, which means that you're getting a 2.5 hour story condensed into about 20 minutes total of story throughout the game. A lot of it comes from mission briefings before the mission, which is fine, I guess. It's just, it doesn't feel very epic, right? Like, yeah, there's some clones and stuff, but it all moves so fast, and we just see the clone, the world leader standing there. We save them and walk away. That's it. So we don't even really get a chance to do that. Now, this game was apparently going to be a different Bond game, but they decided not to do that and to just make their own unique one. Which makes sense, right? They had to somehow come up with a story that no one really knew and put it together in a way that made sense, and then, you know, make a video game out of it. If they had had a movie to work off of, it would have been easy to say, hey, go see the movie, you'll understand everything going on, then play the game and you'll enjoy it, because you don't have to pay attention to the story that much. You already kind of know what it is. But that's not the case. So, it's a C. It's a 7. It's a fine game. Thank you everyone for watching game 102. Thank you to all the membership holders on Twitch, Patreon, or YouTube. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to anyone who's donated. We have an entire list of games coming up for the rest of this year. Pretty much the rest of the year is spoken for. There will be some changes here and there. If you'd like to see that list, you can either join the stream quickly and ask, or you can go to the Discord, which is in the description of the video here, and you can check out the list of games I'm playing. There's quite a few of them. Thank you to anyone who was in the stream with me when I was playing this and laughed at the fact that the first time I played this I didn't know you could change the controls. And thank you to Johnny Baghead. Thank you for telling me you could change the controls, because I originally made a video about this game already and released it for about half an hour, and he told me, no, you can change the controls. I felt bad, so I came back to play it regular. So, you know, it made me feel a lot better about the game. Before I gave it like a D, I was like, nah, this game's kind of crap. The controls are crap. But no, a 7's fine. 7's pretty good. It's a solid little game. So thank you everyone so much. I really appreciate it. This challenge has been great, and it's going to be a great year for this challenge. So come back for more. I'll be back with video 103 soon. Later.